Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Chats. Friday Night Chats is sponsored by the Love Family Christian Foundation. Tonight, I am so excited to introduce to some and have a conversation with others, Kennedy Avery Smith. I'm so excited about Kennedy because I remember her sitting in church and she was always this distinctive young lady who was off to the side doing her own thing, kind of an introvert, but I didn't realize the brilliance that was developing up in her as I watched her grow and blossom into a beautiful young woman. So for this month, I wanted to celebrate her in honor of the International Women's Day and Women's History Month, because she is so multi-talented. She's a singer, songwriter, and producer. She's receiving her BA in music performance and commercial music production from Clark Atlanta University. She's also recorded, Kennedy, I don't know if this is a distro kid entitled First Take. Is that correct?
So the body of work is an EP,
okay.
Extended play, 5-song, like a short 5-song. They call it EP. DistroKid is just the site that I use to get it out. But
so that's a distribution site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Kennedy Avery Senior Concert is scheduled on April 22nd this year. So if you want to know more about her story, first of all, I hope that everyone on Facebook and those who are joining in on Zoom would just sit back and relax and learn about Kennedy's strategies for success. There's so much in her. I just want her to share her story now. So Kennedy, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you for that introduction. That was so nice. But yeah, I mean, you kind of covered everything. So I'm from Chicago, well, Chicagoland area. Grew up playing at Trinity Baptist Community Church. Is kind of where I got my footing a little bit with playing in a band. They really put me on in the music ministry over at Trinity. I've been playing keys since I was about 9. For the most part, I'm self-taught. I started taking lessons around 12 or 13, and then a little bit in high school, and now, of course, in college. But for the most part, I'm self-taught. What else did you ask? My genres of choice are like R&B, jazz, neo soul. And yeah, I'm getting ready to graduate here in a couple months, and super excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell me a little about growing up. Tell me about family and how you were encouraged to cultivate your talent. How did that manifest in your life?
So it's actually pretty funny because I first started kind of showing an interest in the piano at my godparents' house, which is where I am right now, here in Atlanta. They had a piano at their old house, and I was just kind of messing around. And then from there, they just kind of took it and ran. I mean, my godparents and my parents, my family were just like, okay, you might be onto something a little bit here. So let's see where this goes. You know, I think within the next month or two, my dad bought me my first keyboard, and I would just come home after school. And I remember this actually specifically, this little story. Coming home from school, I might have been in 4th or 5th grade, and I get home. I was the first one home in the house, and there was a big package sitting at the door. I was like, oh, what's this? And so I called my parents. I was like, they said, go ahead and open it up. And it was a keyboard. And I was like, uh-oh, okay. But at the time, it was not for just me. It was for me and my sisters, because they didn't really know who was going to be the one to take it and run. But he kind of made the joke when I was on the phone with him. He was like, all right, so somebody better learn a song before I get home. I want to hear one full song before I get home from work. And, you know, my sisters were like, okay, whatever, man, that's not even possible. But I actually did it. I was like, okay, that's a personal challenge. I took that personally. And so I just kind of figured out a song by ear. I think it might have been Human Nature by Michael Jackson, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And yeah, from there, I just, you know, kind of kept at it. But I was also playing clarinet in the band at school. And once I got into middle school is when I started getting into the jazz thing, but still playing drums. That was my principal instrument in grade school. I was a percussionist. And then just the more time I spent on keys, I was like, I kind of feel like I could play a little something, some jazz, something. So that's when I started exploring that in middle school. And I guess the rest is history. I've been doing jazz. Like I kind of dropped the drums after a while, because I didn't have drums, and my parents were like, "That's too loud. You're not playing no drums in the house." Nobody's trying to hear that. But keyboards have this great function, the little headphone jack. You love that. So
Yes.
how about you work on that one quietly? So that's the one that ended up shaking out for me, is the piano, and I've just been playing it ever since.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then
I can tell
yeah. So I guess.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I could tell as you advanced in music, your father was much more knowledgeable about keyboards. So when I would ask him a question about our keyboards, he was like, it wasn't even worth a response. Because he became much more knowledgeable in the technical needs. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I remember when I was in middle school and I started trying to actually like create my own music. And I remember me and my dad going up to the Guitar Center, and he was just like, "All right, tell me what she needs, and this is what's going to happen." So we ended up getting some software and more recording, gear, so I could start doing that. But he's been 10 toes down from the jump, for sure. Yeah,
it's so important for parents to, after they recognize the talent in their children, to help them cultivate that talent and their passion. That gives them confidence. And I even see it in you as you progress. You begin to gain more confidence in yourself. So that's a great testament to your family. It's amazing.
Yes,
so
I have the most supportive family on the planet. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Amen to that.
Yes.
So how would you describe your music?
I would describe my music as, at its very core, it's just plain old R&B, because that's what I grew up on. So that's what I do, and that's what I love. And then once I got more into the whole jazz thing and seeing where I can take this R&B stuff and kind of just make it a little bit more complex, open it up a little bit more. So I have a lot of jazz influences in my music. I guess you would call it neo soul. I take a lot of inspiration from people like Joe Scott and Erykah Badu, that whole movement, in the early 2000s of neo soul, which was like so crazy. So yeah, I think those three kind of cover it: jazz, neo soul, R&B.
And R&B. What about your creative process? What happens to you? How are you inspired? Do you hear something, or you are sleeping at night and God inspires a tune in your head and the rhythm and the cadence? How does that work?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of comes from all over the place. It just really depends on where I am literally in that split moment. Sometimes I will sit down, as I'm getting older and starting to do this like as a career, people are asking for specific sounding music. So, I can kind of gauge what I'm going to do with that, and I have more parameters. But if it's just like casually sitting down to do something, it could be in the car, it could be just anywhere at any given moment, unless I actually sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write something now, then I'll, but the actual inspiration part could be anywhere. But I find that I draw a lot of inspiration from when seeing live music. Excuse me. So getting to see other musicians play and seeing other musicians throw out their ideas, and then I hear something that kind of goes with that, or that would work well, or something to that effect. I like bouncing ideas off other musicians, so I get really fired up after like live concerts and stuff. Like, dang, I gotta go and record something because they just threw out all that great stuff, and I just feel like I can do something with it. So yeah, that happens a lot too.
So you are very creative. Was it difficult for you to sit in class and think linearly, or was there always this discourse between your creative thinking and learning in a linear fashion?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because I feel like my process and my journey in terms of learning about just the craft and the art of music has been anything but linear. So I learned stuff so out of order. It's not even funny. Like it's all over the place. So coming to Clark Atlanta and having it all set up in a curriculum where it's this, and this, and it follows that matriculation. It was definitely different for me, but I thought I might be a little bit get kind of jaded doing music literally all day, every single class you wake up, but it hasn't been that. And I have had zero problems with conforming to, doing it like in a curriculum based, process. So it's been fine. It's been great, actually. It's been great having, at least being organized with the knowledge is really important. So
yeah, the reason I asked that question is because I know when Michael said in class in high school, it was very difficult to concentrate on other subjects because he was always creating in his head, right? He was always drumming and he could always hear the rhythms and creating in his head. So it was very difficult.
I misunderstood your question then. You're talking about like in high school. Oh yeah, I was miserable by by senior year, I found myself just bouncing my knee. I'm like just sitting in statistics class, like a statistics class. And I was already so set and ready for the music. And by that point, we had actually gotten a new band director at school my junior year, who really kind of pushed me and inspired me to do this for real. Because before I wasn't really taking it seriously. And then when he got here, I guess he kind of saw my potential and was like, I think you should really kind of study this. And so once I got kind of entangled in all of that, and it was just really kind of this immersive period for me where it was all jazz all the time, all music. And yes, it was very difficult at that point, like junior, senior year, once I started really feeling like I could do this for real, to sit in a statistics class. Yes, you're absolutely right.
But when you got to Clark Atlanta, that was a great segue. So you answered part B before part A. So thank you for that. I love that, because you hear that from creative people that they hear different things in their mind, and it's like it's something else is calling you out there, but you're forced to really sit and try to immerse yourself in the immediacy of the environment that you're sitting in. So it's just kind of difficult to do both. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it for a lot of kids.
And for me, it's funny that you bring that up, because I actually, as a fun fact, I don't know how many people know this, but I was actually a biology major for the first 4 days of my Clark Atlanta University matriculation. I thought I was going to go and be a physical therapist, because I've always been into like fitness stuff too, and just the human body and muscles and all that good stuff. So I was originally going to be a physical therapist, and then I was going to try and do the music thing on the side. And at Clark, I was trying to major in biology and minor in music. And then when I got to school and started asking some questions about how I can go about it, I went to the music department at Clark and auditioned for my professor, Phil Davis, who was like a Grammy Award-winning keyboard player, jazz keyboardist. And so I told him about my dilemma. I said, I really want to do both. He said, okay, well, what do you play? I said, I play keys. And he said, okay, well, sit down and play something. So I did. And he basically, when I got done, he was like, yeah, you got to change your major like today. You're not going to be you're not doing no biology. You weren't serious about that. You were kidding. So that's kind of what I did. I switched basically maybe the next day or 2 days after that. And yeah, because I went to that first chemistry class on Tuesday. I'll never forget. It was an 8 a.m. chemistry class. And it was still syllabus week. So we hadn't even started, but I was sitting there like, I don't know how I'm going to do 4 years of this. This is already stressing me out, and it's day one. So I'm glad that I was able to get that clarity, early on as opposed to later, for sure.
So but don't you think that music provides the foundation for mathematical principles, and so that should you choose to go into biology, at sometimes you have those principles laid out in front of you? I mean, that's what music does so well. The mathematical principles you're learning, and it's so grounded in you as you advance in your musical levels. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So
music is all patterns, all numbers. It's all math music. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was sitting in an economics class, and which is one of my favorite subjects. And I just remember one of my professors loving music so much. And so he actually drew me in, because he was talking about that scarcity and choice and opportunity cost, but he did it from a musical perspective. And so it was Econ, I loved it. Just it was based on how he presented it, right? And so I can see how those things can draw you in, but it lays the foundational mathematical finance accounting principles so that you can go on into other careers. So that's very good.
So I don't know anything about economics, but I would be curious to know how he explained that. Because
I will. Yeah, I would definitely. He did it by music. He did it by jazz, and he did it by a different cadence, and it was rhythmic.
Nice.
He was really good. He was really good.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this question. Who do you admire most? I know you talked about Jill Scott, but who inspires you most?
Who inspires me the most? See, I don't really play favorites like that, but I can give you a few names. So my biggest inspirations would definitely be the top three. Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson. I'll put them in the same category because they have quite a few similarities. Alicia Keys, Stevie Wonder, and Marvin Gaye.
And Marvin Gaye. Oh my goodness, old school.
I know, I'm an old head. I know, I am an old head. I am an old head for sure, for real.
They have taught you well.
I love those choices. Those are great choices.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Now, how would people describe you?
Describe me?
Yes.
The first word that comes to mind is probably perfectionist.
Okay.
I'm a perfectionist, but I think people would describe me as probably like a very focused person, and also very, I don't know, curious. I think those are three good words. I'm a perfectionist, focused, and I'm very curious.
Very good. Very good. Now, what is your most significant accomplishment?
My most significant accomplishment. So I think now, I'm going to say now, as it stands today, it would probably be when I was able to present to Miss Tasha Cobbs at the TV1 Urban Honors Awards a few months ago. That was a really, really cool experience. That was a super cool experience. But I say that, I preface it with today because I think that once I do the senior recital, I think that's going to be my biggest accomplishment. But I can't say that because I haven't accomplished it yet. So we're pending. Put a pin in that one. Right now, right now, it's definitely that, because that was such an honor. That was a really cool experience. I was not expecting it at all.
What were some of the lessons learned in that experience? I mean, introducing Tasha Cobbs. You told me you didn't interview well, but then I saw you with the microphone introducing Tasha Cobbs, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of the cameras in my face too much. So in terms of my career, I'm definitely leaning more towards the behind the scenes production side of things, because I'm not a big fan of just being front and center. But the main thing that I learned from that experience, in all honesty, is that the music industry is a whole bunch of hurrying up and waiting, and that no matter how big some event or entertainment, thing might seem, it's smoke and mirrors, and there's a lot that goes into a production. There's a lot of things that go wrong behind the scenes. There's a lot of things that there's just little mishaps. I'm not saying like the whole thing fell apart, but there's just little mishaps that happen. And you would think, as when I was younger, I was like, everybody seems to know exactly how it's supposed to run. There's never any mishaps. There's never any, bumps in the road. But sitting at that event, I realized that everybody's just, putting their shoe on one day at a time. And it just gave me a bigger appreciation once, the event actually aired, to see it all come together, because we were having issues with the mics and just little stuff that happens. But once it all gets done in post and you see the finished product, it's amazing what people can do. It's absolutely incredible, the show that they were able to create. And the fact that, just the fact that it was all people of color, that just sent me over the moon, because, you don't get to see that too often. But just sitting in that room and everybody on the stage was Black. There were so many Black women in the bands. people that I knew, some of my peers and my friends that I've met here in Atlanta, which was so inspiring because I'm like, man, that could be me in the band one day. Here today I'm presenting the award. Next year I'll be sitting in the band. But yeah, I realized just how much of a group effort it is to put something like that together, and things can go wrong and you have to be able to pivot. So those are some things that I learned that day.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
Now, who do you see as your main competitor?
It's me.
I knew you would say that.
It's
I
always
knew
gonna
it.
be me. It's always gonna be me. It's always gonna be me. Because I mean, it's hard to compare yourself to other people when nobody's experiences are the exact same. So it would be silly to compare myself to someone like I don't know, let's say Janet Jackson. If I compared myself to Janet Jackson, why would I do that? Like, oh, I gotta get like her, I gotta be as good as her. But we didn't grow up in the same house, we didn't go to the same church, all of these different things are gonna make up who you are. So yeah, it's just always gonna be me because I know where I started, and so that's not where everybody else may have started. And so I just keep that in mind.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So Kennedy, what is the biggest problem you've encountered during your musical journey and college journey?
Definitely navigating this industry as a woman, Black female musician has been the biggest hurdle for me because there's just not that many. Everybody has been very supportive of me out here. I have a really great support system. I have some people that have been putting me on and kind of just helping me out and introducing me and connecting me, which has been great. But it's always going to be a struggle for me to make sure my voice is heard. A lot of times people might not take you as seriously as a woman being an instrumentalist because people oftentimes expect the woman in the music industry to be the singer. And all you gotta do is just get behind the mic, sing your song, and go home. And that's all you do. And for me, that's not the case. And so a lot of times when I go to different gigs and I'm playing, I'm almost always the only girl in the band. And so it's kind of hard to speak up, get your voice heard sometimes, but everybody's been completely respectful, but it's just making sure that people understand that you're serious about it and that you have just as much of a shot as the next guy over here.
Sure.
So that's been my biggest hurdle, is just making sure that people take me seriously as a musician, as a producer, but also as a woman. So
you're definitely blazing the trail. Do you have any aspirations in terms of starting your band and your own production company?
Yes. So I just got my papers back not too long ago that my business is a registered LLC, Kennedy Avery Productions. So the long-term goal, thank you. So my long-term goal for sure is definitely to have my own label, run my own record label. That's some years down the line. But in the interim, I definitely, some short-term goals is to get on the road with an artist and be able to play in a band for somebody that's on tour. I don't know that I would start my own band, but I definitely just want to get out and see what else is going on around the country, because I got a pretty good lay of the land here in Atlanta. So now I'm just looking to expand out and see what else is going on in the music industries across. So
I love this. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud. I don't know how to stop smiling. I tried to be professional, but
it's all good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, I know your dad is he's on Facebook. Let's see. Okay. So Karen. From Facebook, Glenda says, congratulations. Flora Lumpkin says, congratulations. Miss Marilyn Neal, hello family. She said, don't compare yourself to others. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? That's a question from Glenda Smith.
5 to 10 years. So basically the same things that I said. So, but in 5 to 10 years, I would hopefully have landed a pretty big like placement in terms of a production deal. So that's I didn't mention that, but also producing and writing for some major artists is a goal of mine. So that I would see myself like pretty well tapped into the industry, and yeah, really I would hopefully just be on the road. That's kind of where I want to be for the next maybe 10 to 15. I know that's a very, very strenuous thing to do, and I've heard 1,000 times over how hard it is to be on tour, but I just got to see for myself.
Yeah.
So that's definitely where I see myself 5 to 10 years, probably on the road.
Very good, very good. Let's see, since your father is on Facebook, let's see if he has any other comments.
Yes, Terrence.
Yeah. So I
Oh, yeah.
because I remember that I couldn't talk through Facebook. So
Okay.
I switched to home, so I'm iPad.
Okay,
But-
perfect.
The question I have for you and the revelation for me is, as much pushback I heard from you and your sisters regarding Marvin Gaye, I am
Oh
shocked
Lord.
that he is in your top 3, top 4 inspiration.
Yes,
So
he is.
explain, how did that come to be? Because you never shared that with me.
The thing that you're killing me. The thing that I get, the thing that I get from Marvin Gaye, and I didn't realize it. The reason I've never really said it is because I didn't realize it until maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, because somebody pointed it out to me. I was drawing a few similarities, but Marvin Gaye has a lot of layers in his music, and that's what I like. I like music that has no bottom. Like you can't tell where the music ends. It's just always something new to hear. Every time you listen, you hear something different. Marvin Gaye does a lot of that. He does a lot of that. So that's why I say Marvin Gaye, because that's like one of the biggest things when I sit down to produce something, and when I'm in the process, I always try to make sure there's a lot of texture and a lot of depth in the music, which he has both of. So there you go.
I should
Yeah.
introduce you to Prince then.
To who?
Prince.
Okay. Next question.
Kennedy, I like that perspective though. I like that perspective because you like continuity, but you also like it's like stackable, right? There's no
Yes.
ending, there's no
Depth,
end
yeah.
point. It's continuous, and because it's continuous, it's going to be sustainable over time.
Timeless.
I love
exactly.
that. I love that.
Exactly.
Thank you for
Michael
sharing
Jackson
that.
is the same way. Michael Jackson stuff, all Quincy Jones, with Janet is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They all do that. And with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the thing that I like about them is that their music is not monotonous. So a lot of times with this new music coming out, it's just the same 8 bars looped over and over for 3 minutes, and then it's done. Music doesn't really have, verse 1, you get an intro, you got a nice bridge, pre-hook, like all these different sections. And it's a cohesive story from the beginning to the end between the lyrics and the music. No, so not just the lyrics, but the music is also telling a story. So that's what I like about their music. And that's what I try to pull from, is making sure that it's cohesive and it's, it follows that path.
I love that. I love that perspective. Yes. Other questions and comments?
When you were talking earlier, Kennedy, particularly about the preparation and the setup going into a performance, doing a live stage, you really made me think back. Mom brought it up. You really made me think back about Michael's days with the Soul Children of Chicago. And when we'd have to drive into the city on Saturdays and do those all day rehearsals down on 79th Street at Father Flager's church. And they would just grill and they would just drill and drill into those kids. And when we go to those live performances, usually they'd be practicing all day, and then they'd have a live performance if they were in the city at night. And you really made me think about this is why I learned so much about back of the stage preparation before live production, watching all the musicians and watching the kids and everybody interacting and preparing to go live, and just as you said, all of the things that all of the ability to pivot. You touched on it, and I thought, man, that is so mature to be able to recognize how flexible you have to be when you're getting
so
ready.
I'm in the. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
No, go ahead, because you just got me thinking. Please grab it and run with it.
So I'm actually like, I'm in the middle of that, what you're talking about right now with getting ready for this recital, and it's double on me because it's two separate shows. So I've basically been kind of alternating days where I'll spend literally 6 to 8 hours just playing piano, working on the Mozart sonatas. But then maybe the next day, if it's Tuesday, let's say, now it's working on the production concert. So I had to write all the music first. I had to get the band together. I had to write the music out on, paper, lead sheets for the band so they can read it. MP3 mock-ups of each song with the segues, because it's a concert. So, you can't it's not like a record where you can just press play, pause. There has to be like transitions, and it has to flow. Same thing with the songs, has to be a cohesive, start, middle, and end. So just arranging the songs in that particular way and knowing where you want to put certain things in the show, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Yeah. So amazing. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I love it. Yeah. I'm
glad you talked about. I wanted to hear what that process was like that you're going through as you
mm-hmm.
And what the presentation.
I've been yeah. So I've been just moving nonstop, just trying to get it all together. Like I said, so what else? The venue has to be secured, timing, and like I said, just then after all of that is said and done, just making sure the music is good. So now that you have it together, you have the show, now it's time to practice it and make sure that it's tight and it's ready to go. So we're not quite in that phase yet, but we're coming right up on it because it's about to be crunch time. But yeah, this past maybe 6 or 7 weeks, it's been doing the promo, the photo shoots, like all that kind of stuff, and just getting it all together so it's ready in a package by the day. But I've been working on it really since some of the songs I've been writing since freshman year. Some of the pieces I'm playing in the classical recital I've been working on since freshman year. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but now we're getting really, really into the nitty gritty. So it's really, really tedious work, but it's coming together. It's coming together.
This really sounds like you're putting together an entire production.
Yeah, that's basically what the assignment is. That's my capstone project, is to put together the show. So I mean, everything from, I have to know how many inputs I need in the soundboard to set up for the sound guy. Just everything, how many microphones I'll need, equipment, wardrobe. I have to do everything, and that is like the final project in order to graduate.
That's amazing.
So, and you had to raise funding for that too.
Yes.
Oh my
goodness.
And
I'm so thankful for anybody on the call that donated. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I was not expecting any of that, but I really, really, really appreciate it. And just get ready, because it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
Well, definitely before we close out, I want to get your information out there as well. So 2 comments. Patricia says, congratulations to Kennedy. I'm so happy for you. And then I have Dr. Schillenrog. Dr. Schillenrog is the program chair for clinical counseling at Judson University. And she wanted you to know, I have the same struggles in statistic classes.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I do not like statistics. It's actually more writing than it is math, which is why I didn't understand why it was considered math, because I don't know that I used my calculator once in statistics. It was just a whole bunch of writing. But yeah, we're not going to talk about that. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But yes, my sentiments exactly.
Yeah. Other comments? I know I have Kim Johnson on the line.
Hi, Kennedy. Hi, Dr. Love, Reverend Love.
There.
Hi, everyone. Kennedy, you're so mature, so grounded. It was such a pleasure to celebrate International Women's Month with you and to have you showcase your talents and your love and your ambition. I think that you are such a good example of this generation gleaming from so many things. You touched on so many things tonight. You developed a love for music in your home life, helped to cultivate that. You talked about being involved in the church, which I want you to kind of expound on that influence in your music career, even though it's just starting. What was it? Oh, 2 weeks ago, we had Jarrell Crockett on. And
Yes.
he
Yes.
talked about the perils of the music industry. And it just sounds like you've stayed so grounded. Any thoughts to how you will continue to stay grounded moving forward? Because sometimes, you know, the industry can suck you in and challenge
Yes.
your morals.
Yes. So, and I think the biggest thing to me when you asked that question, the first thing that came to mind was just the village, and making sure that the people around me are real, and they're not going to, you know, just tell me anything. If I start getting a big head, I need people around me to keep me in check, and I absolutely have that around me at all times for my family, and as well as just musicians that I've been able to network with out here in Atlanta. Some people that have really taken me under their wing, as kind of like my mentor. I have probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 different mentors of people who have done this and have been extremely successful, and they've seen it all, and they you know, I can't tell them anything that they haven't heard before, and they just kind of help me to stay on track, and they just constantly remind me, this whole game is really, especially right now at this point in my career, it's all about paying my dues, and building those connections and genuine relationships with people, and just staying true to yourself while still continuing to have that confidence. So I think the biggest thing for me to stay grounded, aside from just like my own spiritual journey and my relationship with God, it's definitely going to be the people around me that are going to keep my head on my shoulders.
Mhm.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well done, Dad. I know your dad is on here. Well done, raising such a mature, prominent young lady. Congratulations, Kennedy, on all of
Thank
your
you, Miss Kim.
accomplishments. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to do and the impact that you will have on the music industry in the future.
Thank you.
And Michael Jackson
Thank
is my
you.
favorite. So I love that he's your
Yes,
influence.
you know what's going on.
Yes, yes. I know there's a great debate between Michael and Prince, but Michael is
We're
my
not gonna
man.
talk
So
about
great
it.
job.
I love it. Yes.
So,
Kennedy, how important was, oh, go ahead, Dad.
and it has more to do with outside of music. So you talk about your mentors and people who have been ingrained in the music business and industry. How do they step away from it while still being involved in terms of, you know, is it okay to just shut it down for a bit to kind of recalibrate or refresh, or is it, because it sounds like it's just all music all the time for you?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, and then it's a double-edged sword, because you get to a point where you have the option to say, maybe today I'll take a break. I don't feel like going. But as it stands right now, and as it has been explained to me, and this is what I've been doing and it's been working, is that you just gotta keep pushing, because it's such a competitive industry. It's a very ruthless industry, and everybody wants a piece of that pie. So right now I don't have a choice. I just have to go until I get to the point where I can say, okay, now I can take a break, because there are people behind me that are going to fill those spots. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a double-edged thing, where I can get to a point where I can settle down. But also the big thing about being a musician, and versus being an artist, is the musician are the people that get to play all the music. They make that money, but nobody knows who they are at the end of the day when they go into the, you know, Walmart, which is what I'm trying to do. Because as an artist, yes, if I get to a point where I can't go anywhere and I'm being recognized, then yeah, there's no off button. People like Prince, like Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson, they don't get to just go out and do whatever. But that's why I want to be more of a musician and stay behind the scenes, so I can keep that anonymity, but also continue to do what I love. So
That's great. Kennedy,
Hope that
so
answered
your
your
mom
question.
has a question. She says, who would you like to write for?
Who would I like to write for?
Mhm.
Ooh, that's a good one, Mom. That's a good one. I think it would be really cool to do a song with Ari Lennox or SZA or somebody like that. Jasmine Sullivan. I would write a song for her today. Anybody that's prominent in R&B right now, I probably like them and I probably want to write a song for them as a general rule of thumb.
What's
Huh?
about her? What's unique about Jasmine Sullivan that you keened in on her?
Because she can sing, and I think that we're missing that now. There's no like the name of the game right now in R&B is to be as soft spoken and like as use as very like as little notes as possible. It seems like, and she's like one of the few people, like along with Ari Lennox. I'll put Ari in that category too, that still sing. And I just miss that about music. They're still kind of keeping that old school feel alive, which I don't know if we'll ever come back full circle to the New Jack Swing era, but I'm gonna try and squeeze it in where I can with people that are still kind of referencing that earlier music. So
Very good.
she does that.
Kennedy, so Jennifer Walker asked, she says, you talk about the importance of preparation and perfecting your craft. What would you share with an up and coming artist? Like what lessons?
Yeah. Well, I would say the first thing is there's really no such thing as perfection. And that you just you do as much as you can. And then once you get up on the stage, just do what you know. And that then whatever happens, but that's why the preparation is so important, is to spend that time just sitting down and working through the music, because you have to be able to pivot. If something goes wrong on the stage, you can't say, oh no, well, let's take it from the top. So you can't stop the whole song and they're like, cut. There's no doing that. The show must go on. So that's why the preparation is so important, because you just never know what's going to happen on the stage. Anything could go wrong. Your mic could go out, keyboard could go out of tune, and you just have to be so in tune and privy to what your instrument is and how it goes and what you're doing, so that you can make the necessary adjustments. So the advice I would give to up and coming artists like myself is just to prepare as much as possible, because you just never know. And you never know when something might go wrong, but then on the flip side, and glass half full, you never know when you're going to get an opportunity. You're going to get a call for something really big, and you want to make sure that you're ready for whatever might come at you. So if Jasmine Sullivan called me today and said, hey, I saw your interview with Miss Karen Love, I would love to do a song with you. I have to make sure I know how to write a song for Jasmine Sullivan, but that I can't do that, in 2 weeks. I would have had to have been working on, okay, how does Jasmine Sullivan sound? How does R&B today sound? But that's studying and preparation that's been going on years and years behind me before I got to that point. So just always making sure you're prepared and ready for something to go wrong, but something to go right as well. So yeah.
How does attending an HBCU influence your perspective on your career, cultural challenges? I know it's a loaded question, but I just want to hear about that experience.
It's been a game changer for me. It's been a game changer, because I remember when I came down here for the first time for the orientation, maybe, or just to check out, maybe my senior year, just check out the campus, and just seeing so many people that look like me, so many people that knew what I was talking about when I said, Jasmine Sullivan has that 80s sound. Like she does that very well. Like people get it. And that's just the biggest thing for me when I came down here, is that people that get it and I don't have to explain myself.
Right.
And I love that. So I'll just leave it there. People get it down here. And I love that.
Were the majority of your classes taught by Black faculty, or was there a mixture? Oh, Black. Okay.
I would say the vast majority is Black. I get a few other races, but for the most part, all my professors are Black.
And that identity is very important.
That was a first for me. I was just about to say, because at home that never happened. I never had a Black teacher till I got to Clark, and I loved it. I love it.
Thank you for sharing that. Community is the village for us, so that's really important. Madeleine Johnson is on the line, as well as Patricia. I want to give them an opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Dr. Love. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I joined a little late today. My question is, I am from a culture where I'm from Jamaica. Let's put it that way.
Hey.
And one of the challenges that we have is that there's so many musicians out there, right? Mm-hmm. And what you find out at the end of the day is you really have to make it big to really get somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so in terms of choosing it as a career, it has become difficult for many. So, if you're trying to spend, going to college, university, it's a lot of money. So mm-hmm. What would you say for someone who is like, oh, I really want to do music, but then the family is saying, well, how are you going to pay the bills in the end? Because there is no opportunity after that, unless you get it big, you make it with a Mariah Carey, like Stevie Wonder, like some big artists.
Right.
And you become the next Michael Jackson. And of course, everybody wants to be on the bandwagon, wants to get it big. But before that, like, how do you encourage somebody to choose music as a path, as a career path for them?
That's a good question. So I think that there's a couple of different ways you could approach that question. So when you first asked it, the thing that came to mind was, as a musician, yes, there's a million and one of us. Everybody and their grandmama wants to do music these days. So the preparation is important. You want to make sure you are the very best you can be to get those opportunities, to make sure you're the one that gets the call over somebody else. And then not only just your own personal skill set, but a big part of this industry is who you know, not always what you know. So getting out to those, those mixers, those events where other musicians are, might be jamming, having a jam session, or clubs or cigar lounges, which is what I've been doing, to shake hands and just make sure that as many people and musicians and the right people know me as possible, so that when things come along, my name might pop up in their head, like, oh yeah, I remember I met her at such and such, but you have to go and meet those people first. So that's one part of it. And then I think another piece of that puzzle is there's a lot of different facets of the music industry and the entertainment industry that I think people don't think about, that can make you money even if nobody knows who you are. So you don't have to be on the bandwagon, the Michael Jackson bandwagon, to have a successful career in music. Think about all the commercials, all your favorite sitcoms on TV that need music. Anything that you can think of, somebody had to come up with that. And it might not be, Mariah Carey's producer, but it's a musician, a reputable musician that is, doing what he or she loves and making money off of it. So I think for somebody up and coming that's a little bit overwhelmed about how hard it is to break in, I would say explore other areas besides just that mainstream, what you see, at the Grammys or something like that.
That's a good question.
Okay, thank you for your
perspective. That was a good question.
I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Patricia?
I don't really have any questions. I just want to say that I'm really impressed. I'm really inspired by you. I've watched your journey. Remember back in the day, like some year before, while you were still in high school, you recorded a song, and I remember playing that song, and my grandbaby, who was like 4 or 5, that's all she would play on my iPad.
Oh.
About that Zaya.
Yeah.
And that's the only song that she listened to. So
I love it.
You want to follow your journey and to be able to show her, how far you've come and how you actually stuck with that. She's here with me now, as a matter of fact, and how far you stuck with. Can actually go for your dreams and make them come true. So I'm really happy for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that.
Yeah. Kennedy, you have been such a blessing. I'm telling you, it's still early. Maybe I won't have to hold you for a whole hour. I don't know. Hold you kept it for a whole hour. Oh, it's just 10 minutes. But you know, it's just so beautiful to see how you blossomed. It's just incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and it's a testament to your family and to you and your sisters, and your mom's working on her doctorate. I mean, all of you guys
Man,
are
well, we
just
working out here, man.
amazing. You're just
Thank you.
amazing.
And I want to say thank you to the Trinity family, because that's all I've been seeing in the chats, and everybody that's been supporting me throughout, you know, since I was a little kid at Trinity. I really want to say thank you for all the OG Trinity family that's been rocking with me. I really appreciate y'all.
Amen.
Yes.
So
Can I slip a last question in, Mommy?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Just quick. You touched on it nicely, Kennedy, but if you can expand a little bit. I love the fact that you talked about actually different markets, different for your music, different, and that's a nice visionary approach to this, and obviously there's a very business aspect of what you do, and I think the young man we had on, the Jarrell we had on a couple 2-3 weeks ago, was touching on that. How do you begin to think about that as I know you're focusing in now on graduating your music production. How do you filter that into make that all a part of your formula as you think about the business aspect of where you're going?
So a lot of this is actually helped me. Being in school is really kind of what helped me to get all this business stuff squared away, because I take classes that talk about, like, music business seminar is the main class where we go through, you know, different kinds of recording deals and how to make sure that you get all your money, royalties and split sheets and all that kind of stuff, which is so important. And a lot of musicians just don't want to deal with it. But that's like the biggest downfall, is all you want to do is play music. But at the end of the day, where is the money going? You know what I'm saying? Because you're just so focused in on the music. So for me, it's been kind of, I won't say it's difficult, but it was a shift definitely to start focusing in on this business stuff, because I was that person that was just all music all the time. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. Just, you know, I would just come in and play. You don't have to pay me. It's okay. I'll do it anyway. But if you really want to do this for real, you have to get all that stuff squared away, because it's just, the industry is so ruthless and it's so hit or miss, and you just want to make sure that you have all of those safety nets in place, like having your own LLC, and you having your own business, having things to be able to write off, keeping track of money going in and coming out. Just because if you're going to do this full time, if you're going to make a living off of it, you want to make sure you know where your money is going and how it's being allocated. So I think that just being at school and taking those classes has really helped me. And then just, once again, it's really been like my mentors, and going to different conferences for musicians, doing these mentorship programs with established people in the industry that let me know how important it is to make sure your business stuff is squared away. And if you don't want to deal with it, hire somebody who will, because it's not going anywhere. You're gonna have to pay some bills. So you want to make sure you have that all together.
I'm gonna pass on a Jerry Lumpkins quote to you there.
Hey!
I think KC said the floor might be on the Facebook, so Jerry might be on there too. But he reminds me. He said, you know, when you because we talk about his passion for music along with everything else he does. He said when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Amen.
And that is really so true. And when the Lord calls you into something, like He's clearly called you into this service and this work, He will always provide the talent, the giftedness, and the preparation, and surround you with the people that you need in order to produce and succeed in the area that He's called you to. So you just keep that faith walk like you're doing, keep maturing like you're beautifully doing. We are absolutely so proud of you. We love you, and we're so proud of you. I'm gonna take some of these dad Jones away. Dad's over there smiling. I'm gonna claim some of that spiritual dad Jones if I can.
Absolutely.
So I just have one more question. This is actually kind of a tag on to Miss Nardwin's question around helping other people stay committed to music, even though, you know, if you only see the Mariah Carey and the Michael Jackson as making it, and you clearly identify there are other aspects of music that you can get into that doesn't involve, you know, that star
all the glitter. Yeah.
But having gone to these conferences and mingling with professional musicians in and around Atlanta, what aha have been exposed to that you never would have thought of, but clearly from just being around these different people and just talking and worksmithing everything, what have you been exposed to that you never, ever would have thought that would be a pathway given a musical background?
That I never, ever thought. Well, I think the whole TV and film placement thing, I didn't really know about that until I got here. I guess I kind of knew subconsciously. Obviously, everybody knows music is everywhere in film, but to actually see like how accessible it really is. Or another example is casting calls. So people getting hired to look like they're playing an instrument for a TV show or a movie, but it's just they, you know, you have the body language, you know, you look like you know what you're doing, but they just need, you know, pan over to the band playing something at a club in some scene. Obviously, they're not playing for real, but you got to know, you got to look like you know what you're doing. So that's another one. Like, you don't even have to play, and you can make money just by, you know, kind of just because you're a musician. So that was one that I never thought of for sure, is getting on the like movie screens and TV screens and just acting like I'm playing the piano or acting like I'm playing guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kennedy, I'm laughing as I'm reading this from your mom. She said to make sure you give your dad a shout out because he's your manager.
Yeah, shout out to Terry Smith. He gets 15% off the top every time. He's that good. So if there's any artist on the call, hit up Terry Smith. He will manage you gladly. Just make sure you got that. Just make sure you got that 15% ready, because that's not negotiable. That's not negotiable. And if that's the problem, right? If the 15% is a problem for you guys, then talk to me, because I'm his manager. So it all works out.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then two more comments. Glenda said you have grown into a talented, grounded, intelligent, and professional young lady, and I am very proud of you. And Jennifer Walker says, congratulations, you are a wonderful role model, as we all would agree.
Thank you, Trinity family. Thank you.
So Kennedy, 2 minutes. Give us your 2 minute promo about your concert, where we can find you. If you want us to contribute, whatever it is, just shout it out.
Okay, so everybody can follow me on Instagram at _Kennedy Avery. That's where I post most of my events and just updates and stuff about my career and all that good stuff. The recital, again, is on April 22nd, which is a Friday. It's going to be in the evening. We haven't squared away all the details yet, but April 22nd in the evening. Everybody that's out of town, it will be live streamed, and I'll be sharing all that information as we get closer to the date, so you can make sure you can have the opportunity to log in and watch the show. And if you would like to donate to the campaign for raising money for my senior recital, I guess I can put that in the chat maybe, or a link or something. But
okay, I'm following you, so I'm typing up everything you say. I'm putting it on Facebook.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'll send it out to everybody on the Zoom call.
Okay. And I'm doing a promotion with that. So if you donate $25 to $50, you can receive the first take, which is my EP, the CD, physical copies that I've signed, and I'll be sending those out shortly, as well as, and then if you donate $50 or more, I will send out baseball hats. So that's a little incentive there if anyone would like to donate. And I think that's everything.
Okay.
All my plugs.
So yeah, I have everything typed in. I'm praying it's correct.
We'll get it together. We'll get it together.
Somebody definitely will respond if it's not.
It's all good.
once again, you're such a beautiful, talented young lady, and I so
Thank you.
appreciate you taking the time to be with us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for all of your
Amen.
support and sitting and talking with me this evening. I had a lot of fun. So I really appreciate you.
All right, we
And,
did
yeah.
too. And I think your dad, your manager, did too. And of
Yeah.
course, mom's in the background, so she's gonna make sure everything is taken care of.
Yeah.
All right. So we just want to thank you once again, and just God's blessings all over your career and your profession, and his protection over, all the places that you go. And just know that you are covered by his blood and our love wherever you go.
Amen.
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 All right. So everybody else say
Amen.
good night to you. Thank you for joining us
All
for
right.
Friday Night Chats. And I'll see you again, actually, next week when we talk to Kevin Johnson, who's also in Atlanta. So hooray for Atlanta this month in March.
Hey.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's see if I can do this.